What is going on, everybody? Welcome to Project Elevate, and I am so excited to get into this series. We're going to get into MyGM in WWE2K24, and I have never played this mode in the series. I've never played it in this one, in any prior WWE 2K games, so I'm kind of going in blind here, and I haven't watched any really tips and tricks, tutorials, videos, stuff like that. So we're going to make some mistakes. So if you're brand new, let's learn together. If you're a veteran of the mode, then you can kind of laugh at like all the silly mistakes I'm making and let me know in the comments below. That's cool too, man. We're just here to have some fun. And so we're going to jump into setting up the GM, setting up the settings, picking our brand, and then get into the draft, and maybe in this episode go through the first show, setting that up. And we won't go through like top to bottom every match. We won't get into all that. We're going to simulate some stuff. We're going to play some stuff. We're going to spectate some stuff. But we're going to get through this whole first season and see how it goes from there. So I hope you guys are excited. I have been having a ton of fun with this. I really just had no clue how much fun I was going to have with this. So let's get into the draft, man. Let's get into the setup and to the draft. All right, so first thing is first is we got to pick a GM and a brand. So my first inclination was to go with $1 Million Man, because who better to run a successful business than the $1 Million Man himself? And then I kind of got the nostalgia vibes. I wanted to go WCW, kind of compete, kind of reinvigorate some of that Monday Night Wars. Of course, Paul Heyman has got to be in charge of ECW. And then I kind of changed my mind and I was like, you know what? If I'm going to go WCW, then I got to go Bischoff. I just have to do it. I mean, not the greatest at running a business, but hey, man, we gotta be true to life. So we get Ted DiBiase to run SmackDown, and then we end up getting Stephanie McMahon to run Monday Night Raw. Here we go through some of the settings, and I'm kind of, again, this is the first time I kind of dive into this, so I want a kind of a not too easy of an experience, not too difficult. It's my first time through. We're going to set up some of these options, set up the order of the draft. What's cool here is that you can do a custom pool, so maybe in my next playthrough, once I have all those community creation cause, we can get something really interesting going on. So let's go into season one, man. Here are the draft rules, and we are looking through them. I'm reading all this stuff because I have no clue what's going on. But hey, man, I've done drafts in other sports games before, so how hard could it be? All right, so he's giving me tips on building my roster. Again, I'm reading through it. He's talking about classes of superstars, heels versus faces, getting into like stamina and ring levels and stuff like that. So all this is important. Make sure you read through it. This is going to be crucial to building a good roster. And through this, I was kind of reading, but like, you know, I was skimming through it. I was trying to get through it. And now we are here to the draft, and this is important, man. Who is going to be the #1 pick for us? I feel like I got to have like a really good face to kind of like lead the company. And I'm kind of going through the roster, seeing who's available. I noticed certain guys aren't there. Notable like Cody Rhodes, Roman Reigns aren't on this list. A lot of the legends aren't on the list, stuff like that. So I guess we got to work our way up to those guys down the line. Right. So after working through the list, I decide I'm going to go with Seth Rollins to kind of like be my main face. I love how he plays in the game. He's got good promo skills. So, and he's a specialist, so he can kind of like work with a lot of different players. All right. So he's telling me that my roster is visible over there off to the side. We're going to kind of like skip through some of these guys. You'll kind of see them, but I'm not going to, spend a bunch of time on with other rosters talking about that. So second round pick, and now I got a decision to make. Do I go with a top heel to go against Seth Rollins, or do I get somebody to kind of head up my women's division? And looking at just who's available, there's a couple heels that I would like to get. So I decide instead, let's pick up Becky Lynch before she's off the board, and she's going to kind of like spearhead that women's division. One of my absolute favorites in the ring. So Becky Lynch, welcome to the team. They pick up Rhea Ripley there, which kind of hurts a little bit. That would have been kind of cool. So now we have to decide, do we have a main heel to kind of like battle out with Seth, or do we get a main heel to battle out with Becky Lynch? So I choose Drew McIntyre. Next go around, and I'm kind of looking and ended up going with Randy Orton here. And on my next pick, I'm going to go with Gunther, because I mean, we got some really good heel face actions going on right there. And this is kind of where, looking back, I probably made a couple mistakes, because I should have had like one or two like really heavy hitters up at the top to really headline and be like the main stars. But the guys that were going to be fighting it out for the mid card titles and stuff like that I could have probably saved a lot of budget by going down the line there and then building those guys up. So again, first time playthrough, I'm going in blind and I'm just like, why isn't the CPU picking up all these great superstars? You know, what a bunch of dummies. And it turns out that I'm actually the dummy there. So it is what it is. As you can see, I pick up LA Knight. So far we have Seth Rollins, Drew McIntyre, Becky Lynch, Gunther, Randy Orton, LA Knight. I see Jey Uso here, like just sitting there, and I scooped him up. I'm just like grabbing all like my favorite names that I see out there, and I'm not really paying attention to what's going on at the top because I all of a sudden I get to round 9, I have my roster, but check out the other guys when they're continuing to draft, and you look at their budgets and like they still have like a ton of budget space left. So obviously I did something wrong here. I got no money, so I'm not going to have money for upgrades and stuff like that. As we look at ECW's roster, which looks pretty solid too, can't lie. And then we look at SmackDown. They got a couple good names, but overall, I just think I have a much better roster. And then we take a look at Raw's roster, and it's just kind of like, okay. Let's see what they can do with that. Here's a breakdown of what everybody kind of got towards the top of their roster list. And now we can kind of get into it, man. So let's see how this pans out and keeps going. So at this point, again, I am just going to go into the steps. Each screen is totally brand new to me. So I'm kind of depending. I'm taking a little bit of time to read what this guy is actually telling me. Okay, so right now he's explaining to me about the Hall of Fame and those little trophies and stuff like that. So something to shoot for, definitely. Okay, got it, noted. All right, and on this screen, we have some dialogue going on. So this is the email screen, I guess. And Triple H is, telling me what's up. And then we got some, some smack talking coming down from Paul Heyman. You know he's going to run his mouth. And Ted DiBiase's, I don't know, he's probably trying to buy my brand already or something. But anyway, here we go. And next step in the process is to designate my champion. So I got to choose, man. Do I want to have a heel kind of like going after my main face, taking him down, or do I want to have the face kind of chasing the heel and trying to set up that rivalry and then have that big payoff moment? So I think I'm going to go with let's give Drew McIntyre the strap, and let's have Seth Rollins, build up, chase, see what's going on there. So all these are WCW branded belts. So WCW World Heavyweight Champion, and then secondary men's belt, which is the United States Champion. And we're going to give that one to Gunther. That way we can set up some interesting rivalries going forward. I have 2 main heels, and then I got a few faces so they can kind of vie for that spot, try to take these guys down. All right, so he's explaining about the journal, and he's explaining about commissioner goals that I'll have to meet each week. So cool. I'm getting it. It's pretty straightforward, so it's not something that you have to be intimidated by. Just jump in, read some of the prompts, or just skip them and figure it out on the fly. All right, so here we go. We are finally on to the booking screen, and he's going to tell me about how to book shows and then how to upgrade my arenas and crew and effects and all that stuff, advertising stuff. So that's pretty cool. Got to level things up. Looks like I gotta start in a high school gym. So we'll see how that goes. All right, so you can upgrade this stuff by a combination of assets that you gain after shows and stuff like that, and then just having budget left over from what you didn't use for the draft and from profit that you get from shows and whatnot. So kind of cool. There's like these little power cards as well to give you different little perks and stuff like that. So that's cool too. That can really throw some wrenches into other brands' plans. So we see here what kind of comes with the WCW brand. So you get 1 card each season for WCW for the brand, and then 1 card that comes with the GM that you choose. So there's a lot of variation in how you can do that depending on who you choose as your GM and your brand. So that's kind of cool. There's some interesting little facets in here that are kind of really piquing my interest at this point. I'm like, there's some structure to this that it's going to make this kind of fun, along with just kind of using my imagination to build up storylines and feuds and all that stuff and have those things kind of play out. Now, there are some things. I know they added a lot of stuff to this year's MyGM, and there's still some stuff, and we're definitely going to get into more like what I'd like to see added, but that's not really what this video is about. It's more about setting it up and whatnot. So let's keep it moving with that. All right, so here we are with our booking screen, and we get to select what type of match. So you get your opener, 2 mid-card slots, and a main event slot, along with 3 promo slots for your just weekly shows. This would be like Nitro, I guess. And there is a bunch of like class matchups and, you know, heel versus face stuff and bonuses for match types and all that stuff. But to be honest, I had no clue like really what this was about, what kind of implications it would have on it. So it's interesting watching this back now. It's cool how my perspective on how to book a show changed throughout the course of the season. And I'm sure like veterans of the mode are just, you guys are just like laughing over in your chair because you're like, what is this guy doing? I can't believe this guy is like a YouTuber. What the hell? All right, so a lot of the match types you have to upgrade as you upgrade your show logistics. So that's like your arenas, your effects, your crew, advertising, whatever, all that stuff. But in my mind at this point, it's just like, yo, this is a dope matchup. You know, hey, Gunther versus Seth Rollins, that's a pretty good match right there. So that should be enough. Your standard basic match. I don't need to spend all this extra budget on crazy match types. This should be enough, but it's not. It's not. It really isn't. Although it can push you over if you have high ring levels and popularity and stuff like that. It really does balance things out, as I learned much further down the line. But all right, and I'm still kind of going through tabs, figuring out what's what. So this is my roster. This is my active roster right now. So anybody that you draft is on your roster for the entire length of the season, unless you trade them. But you can also sign just kind of local talent, jobbers, so to speak. Or you can like search for more established stars, legends, things like that. So that's actually really cool. And then you sign them to either like a 5-week contract or 3 or just 1. If you just need somebody in a pinch, you could sign people for like a 1 week, just get in there and get your butt kicked. You could sign legends for longer, then renew them for the rest of the season, stuff like that. So that's really cool. But for right now, I don't have a ton of budget left. As you can see, I have 26 grand to kind of just like fund my whole operation. So I'm already on the brink of bankruptcy. Like, what am I doing with my life right now? So it's funny. At first, I was just mainly focused on like the look of the wrestlers I could sign and stuff like that. These jobs, like, yeah, who would look cool in the ring? But there's definitely class considerations, how those match up with that. And I wasn't super, like, it wasn't ingrained in my mind which classes matched up well against each other. So at this point, it's just, again, I'm just kind of flying blind here, making things work, getting from step to step. All right, so we have our matches set for the show. Now it's time to book some promos. We're going to get Tiffany Stratton some time to kind of self-promo there a little bit. You can also do other stuff like call outs, change their roles from heel to face. You can change their classes for some guys when they have like that dual class perk. And then you can also do stuff like advertising, which doesn't cost money to set up the promo and like brings in revenue dollars if you're kind of like just need to boost those funds a little bit. So now we're here, we jump into the show, confirm the bookings, and then you have your options to play the match. You can simulate it or you can just watch it. So however you want to set that up, that's pretty cool. Certain things, like if you do like an interference, you have to simulate. You can't play it when you have like a run-in from another superstar, stuff like that. But we're going to get into it, and we're going to maybe highlight some of these a little bit just so you guys can see like what the gym looks like at the beginning and whatnot. But we're not going to get through all these matches. We're not going to go through all of them in entirety. Just some quick recaps. Right, so needless to say, it was a really fun experience just jumping into the mode, getting through the draft, setting that stuff up. It kind of just brought something out where I was like, man, this is something different than I'm used to. I'm used to playing universe mode or just like quick play matches, stuff like that. So this was really cool, getting creations, things like that. But now it just gives me like more of a structure, more kind of objectives to handle, different things to manage and think about. But I can also like create my storylines and stuff like that, like I was doing kind of in my head in universe mode and stuff like that. So hopefully this will be a lot of fun and we'll bring you along the ride. We're going to go through the first season for sure. And then after that, we'll see where it goes from there. So if you enjoyed this content, let me know in the comments below. Let me know by dropping a like, subscribing, all that good stuff. That is going to wrap it up for this one. Until next time, elevate your grind, game, yourselves, and each other. Peace.